Hi, it's Sean McCann from Stan James. Welcome to a preview of the sporting weekend. World Cup qualifiers. England in Ukraine. I can't have England, I must say. Ukraine, if they win their 2 games, they go into the second place. They will then go into the playoffs, and I think they'll beat England. They're 8-5 with Stan James. Draw is 11-5. England 6-4. England, I suppose, will want to keep their 100% record, but in a goal line today, I'm not convinced. And I think Ukraine, Andrei Voronin, of course. I mean, we only beat them 2-1 at Wembley. Remember, Crouchin and John Terry scored the goals. So I think this is a good England team, but maybe Ukraine on this occasion. But I think there are 3 standout games in Europe which I'd like to focus on. First of all, Italy versus the Republic of Ireland. No Cannavaro, and it'd be amazing to see if Trapattoni says Forza Italia if they score, of course. I mean, who knows? But I think a point suits both sides. I really do. We've seen money for the draw 2-1 into 7-4 with Stan James. As I say, no Cannavaro, but Gambarini, who was so good, I thought, for Fiorentina against Liverpool, he may well come into the breach. 0-0, 1-1 for me in that game. The draw 7-4. Italy 5-4 too short for me. Don't score many goals. And Ireland 12-5. They won and nick it 1-0. But 0-0. Remember, they're Montenegro home for the last game in qualification on Wednesday. That will do for them to get into. I can't see them turning over Italy in Dublin. But in many ways, the most interesting game, would you believe, is Denmark and Sweden. And there's a third country in the mix, of course, and that is Portugal. And Portugal, they've really have been disappointing so far, but they should win their last 2 games. That's home to Hungary and I think at home to Malta over the next week. And Portugal should win. They've got 13 points. They'll get into 19 points. Sweden, you know, we all talk about teams with great World Cup records. Sweden have been in 11 finals, and it's possible that they will miss out. They must get a win, probably. A draw, I don't think, will suffice against Denmark. And who's this? I mean, can you imagine the great matchup between Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Nicholas Bentner? Can you imagine 12 months ago he's saying that to an Arsenal supporter? But Bentner, if you saw his goal in qualification in one of the last games, absolutely brilliant. Daniel Agg will be interesting to see if he comes back. I think that's a fabulous game. Denmark 5-4, Sweden 15-8, and the draw is 9-4. And Portugal will be hoping for a Denmark win, I think, on that occasion. The third game is Germany versus Russia in Moscow, and there's Arshavin et al. Against wonderful German team, I think. But of course, I think both teams will go through, but one of them will not want to go to the playoffs. Russia need to win. A point will do Germany, and I think the Germans will get a point. But I think it's an absolutely fabulous game in Moscow between, I think, 2 really good teams. Grand final on Saturday evening as well. I just favour Leeds personally. The forecast isn't great as well on that. Kevin Sinfield would be my selection for MON, his kicking game as well. This is an ageing St. Tam. Is it a bridge too far for people like Sean Long? Excellent against Wigan in the semi-final. But Leeds have got more pace, and I just think, remember it's Stan James as well, we're evens on the handicap. So evens, 4-point start for St Helens, evens Leeds -4. But I think the Leeds Rhinos, a wonderful occasion. I've been fortunate enough to go to a couple of grand finals. X Factor as well on Saturday, Sunday. These twins, they polarise opinion. I think that there's just a bit of momentum gathering, and I think the voting public, however bad they are, and I think they'll get away with it. I think Candy Rain 7-4 with Stan James. I think they will go. I got to be honest. I think they're the ones. Argentina as well, fascinating. They are a 7-1 on to win against Peru. They then play Uruguay, and more of that next week, because that really will be fascinating to see if they've got to win against Uruguay and Forlan et al. I mean, what that South American group really is a fantastic mix. But we've got so much sporting action this weekend. Remember, we've got the President's Cup, we've got the Madrid Masters, we've got the Grand Prix snooker, we've got the World Grand Prix darts. Taylor, did you see him last night? Very nearly took out that 9-dart, of course, with a double to start to finish. Unprecedented, never been done before on TV. And I hope you're on Adrian Lewis. I told you he was a big price at 6-4, 11-8, drifted out, would you believe, to 6-4 against Gary Anderson. The match had everything. They had controversy, but Lewis, is it a new mature Lewis? Would you bet on him against the power next time? Not me.